Hi, I'm Marc and welcome to the weekly Outside Views report on British politics. After the agreement between Great Britain and the EU in the Brexit dispute over Northern Ireland, the CDU European politician Detlef Seif also called for movement from London on other issues. There are many problems, for example with mobility and the exchange of people and knowledge, said the member of the Bundestag at the end of a trip by the European Committee to London, and he said this to the German press agency. Anyone who wants to have us as friends should also treat us as friends, said the CDU chairman of the European Committee. You don't see that in mobility at all, he says. Seif pointed out that EU students in Great Britain have not been able to take out student loans since Brexit and also need visas. Above all, they would also have to pay higher tuition fees. Seif expressly praised the agreement between London and Brussels on Northern Ireland, though. Talks with the incumbent British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak are now very trusting again. Previously, what had been agreed had often not been complied with, said Seif, just without naming ex-Prime Minister Boris Johnson explicitly. At the same time, the CDU MP emphasized, however, Sunak is not a pro-European. The head of government is a pragmatist who, realistically, acts in the interest of his country, he says. In addition, the Brexit deal is not yet done. The decisive factor is whether the agreement will actually be implemented by the British side, said Seif. Ex-Prime Minister Johnson has made it clear that he rejects the agreement, which could increase the pressure on Sunak from the party's right wing. It is also considered possible that the Northern Irish Unionist Party, the DUP, will speak out against the agreement and continue to block the formation of a regional government. With its planned tightening of asylum laws, the British government is embarking on a controversial course. The boats that are bringing tens of thousands to our shores will be stopped, said Home Secretary Suella Braverman, who introduced the new law to the London House of Commons on Tuesday. We have pushed the limits of international law to resolve this crisis, she previously confessed to The Telegraph. In concrete terms, almost all migrants who enter the country without official permission are initially to be held in accommodations such as former military bases or student dormitories. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak told journalists that those affected should be deported to Rwanda or other countries within weeks. The right to apply for asylum should be taken away from them. The plans could violate the European Convention on Human Rights. Well, I don't say could, I said they do. And Sunak stressed that he was ready to push his plans through in court. The Conservative British government describes the arrivals as illegal. According to the UN Refugee Convention, however, every person that's persecuted has the right to apply for asylum in a safe country of their choice, regardless of how they get there. And this agreement also applies to Great Britain. But Sunak defended the plan. Britain has already signed a controversial pact with Rwanda and paid the country £140 million for it. Migrants should apply for asylum in Rwanda and, if granted, be able to live there. A return to Great Britain is not planned. Since the European Court of Human Rights intervened, there have been no deportation flights from Britain to Rwanda so far. The opposition and human rights activists reacted with outrage. The British Refugee Council criticized that Great Britain was betraying its obligation under the Geneva Refugee Convention to grant people a fair hearing, regardless of their route of arrival. And Labour leader Keir Starmer has questioned the plan's legal validity. It could be months before the law actually comes into force. Resistance is expected in the upper house, which could trigger a ping-pong between the two chambers. Sunak also wants to meet French President Emmanuel Macron today on Friday. On the British side, there is hope that stricter checks on the French side will also prevent those seeking protection from crossing. The British King Charles III and his wife Camilla are coming to Germany for their first state visit at the end of the month. The royal couple will be in Berlin, Brandenburg and Hamburg from March 29th to 31st, as the office of the federal president announced. This early visit underscores the close and warm friendship between our countries and our citizens, said Federal President Frank-Walter Steinmeier in a video message. Charles has been king since September 8th and 22. He succeeded his mother, Queen Elizabeth II. Charles is due to be officially crowned alongside Camilla on May 6th. In March, before his coronation, he travels to France, then to Germany. The fact that King Charles chose Germany and France as the first travel destinations before his coronation is also an important European gesture, said Steinmeier. I would like to say to him, but of course also to all Britons, we in Germany, we in Europe, want close and friendly relations with the United Kingdom even after Brexit. The program of the visit to Germany provides that the royal couple will first be welcomed with military honors by Steinmeier and his wife Elke Büdenbender in Berlin on March 29th. In the evening, the federal president invites them to a state banquet in Bellevue Palace in honor of the king. On the second day, Steinmeier and the king have appointments in Berlin and Brandenburg, and on the third day, the federal president and his wife accommodate their guests to Hamburg. The Partygate investigator Sue Gray is to change from an important government agency to the opposition Labour Party, and she's causing outrage in the ranks of the ruling Conservatives. Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has been urged by his Tory party to prevent Labour leader Keir Starmer from appointing Gray as Chief of Staff. Several Conservative ex-ministers also criticized Gray's planned change. The Times reported on Friday that the responsible supervisory body, ACOBA, would recommend a maximum break-off of up to 3 months, so Sunak would have to override it to prevent the personnel. Labour has been well ahead of the Tories in polls for months, and political observers in London commented that Gray's appointment shows that Starmer is seriously preparing to take over the government after the election planned for late 24, early 25. Gray most recently held a senior position in the central government agency, the Cabinet Office. In December 21, then Prime Minister Boris Johnson commissioned Gray with the internal investigation into the Partygate affair about illegal lockdown parties. In her report, she gave Downing Street officials a devastating certificate of conduct. Johnson's allies have now criticized that Gray's move to the political opponent shows that she did not conduct the Partygate investigation objectively. Well, that's their point of view. The former PM even claims, according to the Times, that the scandal was fabricated to bring him down, and Labour dismissed the allegations as ridiculous. Airbus is expected to escape criminal prosecution in one of the biggest corruption scandals of a global corporation. Regulatory authorities from France, Great Britain and the USA have sentenced the aircraft manufacturer to a record payment of 3.6 billion euros in 2020 and imposed a 3-year probationary period. In the event of renewed corruption, fraud or other misconduct, however, there was a risk of criminal proceedings with unforeseeable consequences. According to research by the German newspaper Welt, the probation process with a postponed prosecution has now been discontinued, at least by Great Britain. When asked, Airbus speaks of a very important milestone. They are still awaiting the formal decision of the French authorities, the Parquet National Financier, and the US Department of Justice, that Airbus has met the conditions and the prosecution will be terminated in accordance with the procedural requirements in France and the United States. Industry insiders expect this. It would be a sensation if Paris and Washington did not also refrain from criminal prosecution, they say. However, there could possibly be further requirements for correct behavior. And this concludes this week's video on British politics, but in the end screen you find another right away, so I'll see you there. I'll be back.